All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to start another night. Once again, Women's History Month. And I chose the ladies of metal and rock. Tonight, I promised myself when I started this whole idea that I was going to pay a tribute to the one lady of metal that I really feel, for me, I connected with her music. She has a great stance on abuse, women's issues, animal rights. She's done a lot to do this. Her name is Otep. Otep Shemaya is her full name. I got hip to her in my days when I was starting to tattoo, when I was tattooing. Otep for me has been and will always be. Hey, Eric. Just getting ready to lay down some ink for a lovely lady named Otep. Otep, for me, I started tattooing back in 2003, 2004. And Otep Shemaya was played in the shop I used to work in tattooing. Otep was, for me, the first real female metal. She was full on. Her voice had volume. It had a real great, but the cool part about her vocally was the fact that Otep could go from a very, right on, man, okay. Otep could go from this really nice, very subtle sound, and next thing you know, she's kicking it out. So let me get started with this before I talk too much about her, because I think there's this really big feel for her, because she just really, when I started tattooing, one of the guys I knew played her music in the shop, and I could not get enough of it. The other thing I like about her is she's just full on. I've done several pieces of her for my own personal thing. I actually had one piece I did, sort of a compilation and a homage to one of her albums, that a fan base group in California asked for permission to use the artwork in one of their flyers for one of her concerts, so that they were getting ready to do. Otep is not for the faint of heart. I'll tell you right now. I'm telling you this. This is a personal, dare I say, a love fest. Because her stuff, for me, as a tattooist, when I first started tattooing, she was it. She was the one who got us through the day. I pumped up and ready to go when I heard her. Her vocals are strong. Unlike a lot of the so-called, some of the female metal artists out there, they're good, don't get me wrong, but for me, Otep held the most amount of real bite to what she was doing. She was really getting into it. She was really there. She's very gaunt. It's another thing that I'm kind of playing off of here. She's got a very thin... I think you may notice, and I kind of, as I call this image up, because I just love this image of her. As I called this image up, it suddenly reminded me of Mad Max, the recent incarnation with Charlize Theron. And I like to feel like, they stole that from Otep. The other thing I loved about Otep was the fact that not only was she a performer in the sense of metal and everything, but she was a poet. She did a lot of open mic stuff in California back in the day. She is really out there for women's rights. She's working very tirelessly about abuse issues and dealing with women's abuse. She just really is the one that I really keyed off of very much. And I promised myself in this series I was going to do her at least. And I want to thank everybody. By the way, I really want to take this moment to thank everybody for who's signing in. But I've really started receiving some really great suggestions. So much, to be honest with you, so many suggestions that I feel like I may have to actually carry this on. Not so much metal, but into some of the female artists that are equally in the pop realm, and I've really received some really great requests. So I think I'm going to, and again, any requests that I receive when I do a piece in regard to that particular artist, you get that piece of artwork. So I've got a couple waiting in the wings for me to send already. But yeah, Otep for me has and always will be. She is my go-to. In fact, the hard part for me is realizing I really can't play her music. I don't know if you can see down here. Can you see that? Right? Yeah. She's got a chain around her neck, kind of. But I can't play her music. And I probably, if I did so, might lose a few people. It's very powerful. My only regret, as I'm looking her up, I was looking up more information about her. Not regret, but my only criticism, especially in today's music realm, is all the subgenres that are coming out. She's listed as new metal, rap metal, all these other kind of subgenres in the metal community that I really feel like it's really kind of getting a little out of hand here, man. But Otep will be for always for me she's the lady that I really admire as an artist and always kind of followed her. Like I said, her look right now is very much similar to what we saw in Mad Max. And I just her vocals are out of this world. Her vocals truly, she can go from a very melodic, very beautiful sort of siren sounding to just wanting to break the speakers. You feel like the speakers are going to pop. I know this may not be everybody's cup of tea, and I can see already I'm losing people. All right. But anyway, so this one is pure me just fulfilling my own personal request to myself, trying to break out a little bit more. There will be more people I'll be drawing in later on this week, the weekend and whatnot. Like I said, I've got some great requests waiting in the wings, man. I'm telling you. So I'm laying down my basic tones right now, even though she's got a lot of color around the eyes and whatnot. Otep has been out since about 2000, as I understand that what I was reading. She's a poet. She's a rock star, man. She's got it all. She does it really well. But during the week, there will be more of the, like I say, the more streamlined. And again, please, anybody comes up with any ideas in the metal, rock, and I started to say earlier was that the list that I'm really getting some really great suggestions for ladies of, especially women in the music world that I can identify with, that I find myself going, yeah, I'd like to draw her. Yeah, they're not metal or rock per se, but musically, I think they're great. I think they're just really some awesome ladies out there that I'm getting a lot of suggestions for. This, I have to admit, I'll just take it back for a second. I'm really amped up doing this one. I know this may not be a lot of forte for a lot of people. There's not a lot of call for a medal, especially at her level. That's why she's still kind of in the background, if you will. But at the same time, she is a tireless supporter and fighter for women's rights. She is very, very strong on animal rights. She's very, very strong on the issues of abuse, gender abuse as they're calling it these days. But she's got a lot of darks going on up here. So we're going to blues. For anybody who's like tuning in, I know this is not exactly what you were expecting, but I unabashedly say that this is what I promised to myself when I started this series. This was a woman that I wanted to make known for, if anything else, for her tireless approach to doing, standing up for things and really getting out there. She's always been part of that area where she stood up and made a voice for things in her belief. She's taken a lot of chances in some of her demonstrations and whatnot. So, but her poetry, she's also a poet as well. So she's got a full plate, full of talent, man. She's really, really good. And like I said, I started getting into her when I started tattooing years ago. And that kind of brought home for me. This was her way. Her music really brought a lot home for me. So, unabashedly tonight is my own self-indulgence. And I am kind of doing what I promised myself I would do in this series, and that is bring forward women of metal that I felt personally for me that I really identified with and I felt had a very strong statement to make. Also blazed the trail. There are several other women in the metal community that I really got into. Arch Enemy is one of the big, they're based out of Germany, I believe, or Sweden. I forget exactly where, but there's, the president is Elise Gus White. She is another great vocalist. And there's, she's beautiful. She's also got a great look, and I plan to tackle that one. I'm going to draw her too. She's going to be another one of my future drawings. And I know I'm taking a bit of a chance doing this one because Otep is for me very personal. It's a very personal thing. So anybody who's hanging in there, I appreciate it for just watching. If you have any suggestions, please PM me for any suggestions. Let me know who you think would look really cool to do. Like I said, I'm extending this. The women of, I'll just say women performers. Let's say female performers that I really enjoyed. Not necessarily within the metal genre, but equally in the vocalists and whatnot. I will be touching on, you'll be using them too soon. Got a lot going on in that hair. Again, I know Otep is not exactly, especially the look of her, is not exactly what a lot of people get into. But at the outset, I said that this was one that I wanted to really get into because she got me through. I really found myself getting into, when I started tattooing, she gave me a lot of power. I felt really a lot of as the word is often used these days, empowerment by Otep. I felt like as a performer, as an artist, as a poet, she had a lot to say, and she took a lot of risks in the way she said it, and I can never deny anybody that. So this one I know is not going to be in the wheelhouse of everybody. This is not going to be one that everybody's going to be as into. And if you're hanging in, thank you. If you're not, tune in tomorrow. We'll have some, I hope they'll come back tomorrow to see some more mainstream, if you will. But I just wanted to do this one for my own. This one is unabashedly my own bit of tackling a subject that I've done before that basically it's been a while since I even thought about drawing her. And I thought with this particular format, take a little bit of a risk, bring her out. And remember too, I'm also doing can do family portraits and caricatures rather. What color eyes does she have? Looks like blue. Do families, dogs. Maybe I'll even try doing that one night. Maybe I'll do a couple of. If you send me your pictures of various family members. There's also a sale going on right now. We've got 10% off on all caricatures going on. Equally 20% off for mugs that we can do. We're doing now, we're getting into doing hand painted mugs, glassware, and so forth. So I'd really like to have an opportunity to do that for you, offer you that service. That's 20% off. That will include, we'll have to have shipping with that. The artwork that I do, the regular artwork, will be that will be shipping free, the paperwork. Any of the paper art that I do. Like this. It will be there will be no charge for shipping on something like this. This one again is this one I'm totally selfish about and totally self-serving in it because I wanted to do this. It's been a while since I drew Otep. I used to draw her quite a bit. I did some portraits of her because there's some really great photographs of her for some of her album covers. Really haunting, beautifully haunting pieces that I decided to draw and then subsequently use as a put up on Instagram and so forth. So again, she may not be your cup of tea. If you're hanging in, I appreciate it. Just being entertained by the whole thing. But like I said too early on, this was something I wanted to do for myself. That I really wanted to try. But if you have family members, pets, anybody like that you want to see drawn, drop me a line. 10% off on all work. Let me just thicken these lines up a little bit. I want to beef these up just a bit. I guess in some ways I feel like the metal community is not well represented as far as, there's drawings of some of the guys. There's some nice ones in some of the magazines I've seen, but I thought I wanted to bring it to the mainstream, kind of bring it to the forefront. And if we're going to stand up for women who do take a risk, who stand by who they are or what they do without apology, then Otep definitely for me is one of those women. Unabashedly, she is awesome. When I listened to her when I was working the tattoo shop, Otep was definitely my go-to. But if you have anybody that you're interested in, please drop me a line. Let me know if you want to see somebody else. I don't even mind a question as to why did I choose this one. I got no problem with that either. So, Otep has been her sound, her look, her videos, who she is. When I started tattooing, that was the sound that we had going through the shop at times. Some of the guys started playing some of the more hip hop and rap and that, and I kind of felt myself pull away from that. But Otep has been for me personally. I guess you could say she got me through some really down times. She gave me some strength to face up and to meet up. You know, so I guess unapologetically, she is my inspiration. She has been my source of empowerment, as the word is like to be used. She's my source. I dug Otep a great deal. She was awesome to listen to and great to get into. Let me take some of these chains off here. It got a little crazy with the color. She's mostly in California, for anybody interested. Anybody still here? But yeah, Otep is it. Put some color behind her. Get some colors in the back there. Go with some darker colors, you know, some more blues and purples probably to go along with this. I got to listen to her, like I said, when I was in a tattoo shop. I've been listening to her ever since. Don't follow her as much anymore. Probably because I got more into some of the other metal stuff. And she kind of fell out of the scene for a little bit for me, personally. This is really picking up some really weird textures. So the next few days will be more on the straight and narrow. I've got, like I said, I've really want to thank everybody who gave me some really awesome suggestions, which will be coming up soon. Again, send me a suggestion. If I draw that individual, that piece of art becomes yours. And I decided to broaden it a little bit more later. As March winds down, I'm going to start broadening some of the women that I'm going to draw, because let's face it, there's a lot out there that, even though personally I don't listen to as much anymore, but definitely used to listen to when I was growing up, and that I think really kind of had I thought music really made music work. They really gave a whole new landscape to music, which is one of my biggest inspirations. So we're going to start finishing this one up. This one really went fast. I was really kind of, I think one of the fastest ones I've done. Probably a combination of just pure passion for doing it. Get into a little bit more. Add some more color. That's another thing too. Doesn't have a lot of color. But she just, to me, Otep has been somebody I really followed closely for quite a while. Maybe that's it too. I have shifted gears over the years. So her influence, though reminiscent and very heartfelt in the sense that that was really very helpful. I've kind of shifted, I guess, maybe, in where I'm heading and what I need now to get me through certain things, and maybe don't need that kind of heavier influence. Although I'm still for the big four: Slayer, Metallica, and such. She's very gaunt, very thin lady. I'm going to throw on to her one of her favorite biggest statements is to resist. That had become quite a war cry for quite a number of musicians. You got guys like Rage Against the Machine and things like that. Those guys really kind of made a real hard mark they're coming back to. Tom Morello, who is a really great performer. Should do one of him one of these days. When I get off of this bench, I'll start doing some more. Do one with Tom Morello, who's awesome. He's another awesome performer. And I believe a Harvard graduate, if I'm not mistaken. But Otep is and will always be, for me, very personal. This one is a very personal one. So, this is it. This is Otep. This is the one sound that got me through a really rough time in my life. Really had a lot of issues going on, a lot of things I had to get through. I mean, she just really, unashamedly and unabashedly, she helped me through a lot of it. So we're winding down here with Otep. Shemaya is her full name, Otep Shemaya. Her band is called Otep. She's been out since 2000, I think. I got hip to her in about 2003 as a tattooist, which I'm hoping to get back into soon. But yeah, so Otep stands for a lot of things. She's a vegan, though I appreciate her stance, but that doesn't help define her for me. That she's a animal rights individual. She stands up for a lot of things, particularly women's abuse, stuff like that. So this is Otep. If you ever have a moment where you want to take a big chance, look her up on iTunes. Her older albums, about 2002, her big album hit. Check that out if you get a chance. But there she is, Otep Shemaya, artist, poet, metal. You know, like I started saying earlier, the hard part is to read her bio and to see they break her down into so many subgenres. I mean, we're talking rap metal, and they're talking new metal, and I don't know, man. To me, metal is metal, and that's all there is to it. She stands for a lot. And I think if we're going to do this for Women's History Month, if we're going to take and be open about, talk about women who've made a difference or women who stood up for women's rights, animal rights, then why do we need to be selective? Let's really give them all their due. So this is it. Otep Shemaya. New metal, rap metal. She's a great metal artist. I promise, for any of those still watching and any of those who watch this video long enough to know that, yes, I will be drawing more mainstream artists as this thing goes on, but this one is a personal, very, very, very personal one for me. I promised myself when I did this series that she would be one of the ones I was going to do. So I think that'll do it. Otep Shemaya, great artist, great performer. I'll go back here and maybe noodle a couple more things just to tighten this up a little bit. This went really fast too. I was really kind of... I was originally going to paint this one, but my setup that I have, and I just couldn't see it happening. It really wasn't gelling. So I put that aside. So instead I thought I'd draw her up. And so for anybody going to be seeing me next time, I hope to see you again. Next few days I'm going to be doing a few more mainstream performers, a little bit less on the harsher side like Otep here. But yeah, I hope to see you in the future. Don't forget, check me out on Instagram and Biomech. Go to my website, c2zcaricature.com. You have any ideas of people that you want to see drawn, please put them on down. You come up with something, somebody that I could key off of, or I feel like I could key off of, and that piece of artwork that I do will be yours. So anyway, let me put a little glint in her eye. There she is. The one, the only. Otep. Like I said, if you get a chance, you check her out. She's really got some great stuff. And hopefully I will see you again tomorrow. We'll be doing some more more mainstream stuff for you all. Alright, that's enough. Otep Shemaya. You all keep rocking, you all keep rolling, you all keep metal. Keep yourself safe. Remember those social distances. And we will see you tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock, with the more mainstream and somebody perhaps a little bit more palatable for those out there. But anyway, Otep. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great night.